Hello and welcome back to MacStories Unwind. I'm John Voorhees and Federico Vitici's with me. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm having a good day here in North Carolina, and I'm really at the point now we are, as we record this, we are, 2 weeks out from WWDC?
Yeah,
2 weeks to the day.
2 weeks.
And so I've been thinking. I've been thinking about how I'm going to travel, and this year it's complicated for me because I'm leaving from Cupertino to go to Philadelphia
Okay.
for my son's college graduation,
Yes.
taking the red eye. So I have to be ready both for doing things at WWDC and then also doing things with a graduation. And then when I get from Philadelphia, I need to then drive all the way home, which is like 10 hours. So that's going to be kind of a busy week. And I've been thinking about what I'm going to take with me. Mostly I've been thinking about the gear. And I thought we could talk about that a little bit today.
Yeah. So, how are you gonna travel?
Well, the one thing, I'm going to actually travel lighter than usual because I'm expecting that I won't need, a lot of times I've brought a bunch of equipment that I didn't need. And I know that because I'm only going to be there Monday, Tuesday, and most of Wednesday, that there's only so much I can do. And last year, we were very busy with the briefings. We were kind of carted around all day long. And there really isn't time to go back to your hotel or do a lot of extra things other than the briefings themselves. And so what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my Mac because I'm going to be needing to deal with like podcast stuff and coordinating with the team for writing. And I'm going to bring obviously my iPhone, but I'm also going to bring my iPad Pro because I want to have a device that I'm going to sacrifice right away. And the one that I can get away with most easily is probably the iPad because I rely on it the least. I'm going to need the phone intact for driving home from Philadelphia. I'm going to need the Mac to get the work done while we're in Cupertino. But those are the three things I'm bringing. I'm not going to bring a lot of other equipment though. In the past, I brought little like portable microphones to do little videos from Apple Park or outside of Apple Park. I'm not going to have time for any of that. I've sort of realized that. So I'm going to bring those three things. I'm going to bring my my AYN Thor, which is my Android handheld, because
Okay.
even though I know from past experience that I don't really have time while I'm in Cupertino to play video games, I will still be on a couple of very long flights. And so I figure I can get a little bit of gaming in using the Thor. And it's small enough that it's not going to add a lot to the experience. I mean, I can get into some of the more details about the stuff. Like I will bring like an Ethernet adapter and all that because I have to deal with big files and hotels and that sort of thing. I'll spring this on you. I'm not going to get a car this year, I don't think,
Okay.
because most of the time I'm going to be there short enough that most of the days that I'm there, I'm not going to be driving much. So it's really not worth the expense. I can just take an Uber or a Lyft instead.
Yeah. Yeah. I think I'm gonna bring both the iPad Pro and the MacBook Pro. In previous years, I would have left the MacBook Pro at home. Now I rely on things like codecs so much that really most of my work has shifted to working on the Mac at this point. Even though coding agents with remote access like codecs are sort of allowing me to get more done on the iPad, but it's just easier and more reliable, especially when you're busy at WWDC, to just have a Mac with you.
Right.
I think I'm going to bring my AirPods Pro, but also my AirPods Max for the flight. I think I'm going to bring a spare iPhone. Like, I think I'm going to put the beta on the iPhone Air.
I've thought about that with my 16E that I use for recording. That might end up being a beta phone, but then I don't. But I also don't want to screw up my recordings.
I think when I'm traveling, I'm gonna keep obviously the 17 Pro unstable and put the beta on the Air. I think that's what I'm gonna do. I think I learned my lesson. I'm just gonna bring my Nintendo Switch 2. I'm not going to bring multiple consoles. I have enough of a backlog on the Switch 2. And if I want to play some Tears of the Kingdom, I can. If I want to play some Hyrule Warriors, I can. I'm gonna load up a bunch of TV shows on my iPad Pro. I think finally I'm just gonna catch up on For All Mankind. The
I didn't
latest
know you were
season.
playing Warriors.
Well, I bought it 2 days ago. I still need to start it.
Oh,
I
okay.
really
I was
would
going to
like to
ask you if
because
it's any good. I've always wondered, but I
well,
haven't played it either.
I'm on a Tears of the Kingdom kick, and
Yeah.
so I wanted to get more of the story. Um, and yeah, I think I'm just gonna travel really light. In the past, I would have brought multiple consoles, multiple headphones, multiple things. Like, uh, I'm if anything, the thing I'm gonna bring is more snacks.
Good
Because I'm
idea.
always starving, and the menu at Apple Park at the briefing at the press center always sucks.
Oh, I think it's
They
okay. I think you're just
no,
picky.
they put garlic on everything. It's either
Well,
garlic
that's
and
true.
like you mentioned that you don't want to eat meat. The next option is okay. We'll give you some vegetables with tons of garlic and onion in for some reason.
Yeah,
Um,
that was true
so
last year. Yeah.
last year I sustained myself with the chocolate chip cookies that they have.
Those are good.
But thankfully, I also brought from home last year a trail mix type thing with some nuts and seeds, and I
Yeah.
think I'm gonna double down on that again. So
Apple has some
uh,
of that too available usually.
mine's better.
All right. You mentioned headphones. I think that's something I'll be bringing my AirPods Pro 3. I'll also bring my Beats Studio Pro because one of the things that's nice about the Beats Studio Pro is that they have a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and I can use them for editing podcasts. So that will be my and they also fold down pretty small, which is a bonus. So I think those will be they're not my normal podcast editing headphones, but they'll do the job in a pinch with their being able to connect to either USB or 3.5 millimeter. So
Makes sense. Makes sense. All right. Shall we talk about our picks?
we should. I have got a movie that I actually made, I think, an Unwind pick many weeks ago called Dust Bunny, which is also out now on, I believe it's HBO. And this is a really strange movie that I enjoyed a lot. It's about a little girl who lives in New York with her foster parents. I think she's an orphan. And she wakes up terrified every night that there is a monster under her bed. And
Okay.
the whole thing opens with, a dust bunny blowing under her bed, and that somehow this dust bunny is what becomes the monster under her bed. So she wakes up and she's frightened. And one day, she sees one of her neighbors. She lives in like a tall old building in New York City, and she goes out into the fire escape and she follows this guy who goes into Chinatown and kills a bunch of people. And then she goes back home. She goes to bed. Her monster appears again, and her parents disappear. And she doesn't know what's going on. And she's convinced that whatever she does, she cannot ever touch the floor, because if she touches the floor with her feet, she will be eaten by this monster. So she pushes herself around on this toy and a broom around her parents' apartment. She leaves the apartment. She goes down to the neighbor. First, she makes a stop at a church where she steals the collection plate to get some money. And then she gives the money to this guy and asks to hire him to kill the monster. And that's kind of the premise of this movie, which is very much, in some ways, like an action John Wick style movie.
Okay.
But it's also, I wouldn't say it's a kid's movie, but it's about a little girl. And it has a fantasy aspect to it because she has this, what you don't know for sure, whether it's an imaginary monster she's dealing with or not. And everything in this environment, this version of New York City, has kind of a fantasy feel to it. And in some respects, it felt almost French to me. It's very stylized in the way all the sets are created. And the rest of the movie is kind of about the relationship that develops between this young girl whose parents are missing and this guy who's an assassin, and how in the end you sort of realize they're very similar in their sort of their personalities and their stories in life, which is the surprising part of it. it stars also Sigourney Weaver is in it as one of the villains, and there's the FBI gets involved, and there's all kinds of criminal element going on. You're trying to figure out what's going on, and I don't want to give away how it ends, but it's a really cool, highly stylized movie that I enjoyed a ton. And it's one of those that it's like an indie film that has like an 85 on Rotten Tomatoes and has done really well with audiences. But I also think it's one of those movies that defies a particular genre, and as a result probably didn't get seen by a lot of people in theaters. But it's well worth checking out now because it's especially if you have like HBO, yeah, you can just stream it from that.
Nice. Okay. I have some TV show updates.
Okay.
We finished season 2 of Running Point, the basketball series on Netflix.
Yep.
Really liked it. I think I liked it better than season 1. And they obviously live, since it was already renewed for season 3, they end season 2 with a pretty huge cliffhanger that I won't spoil on the show, but I thought it was really nicely done. I also won't spoil how it ends because I thought they did a really nice job, and I think season 1 was very different from season 2, where Ayla, she president of the LA Waves, the basketball team in season 1, she wanted to prove herself in a male-dominated industry, and in season 2, she proved herself. She's still the president, but she has to face her brother Cam, sort of escaping rehab, coming back to the team, sort of trying to claim his previous role as president again. But Ayla, she now faces the main sort of quest in season 2 is how do you retain talent, both the players and the people around you, which I thought was really well developed.
Mm-hmm.
And how do you prove that you're not just a one-off? Like, can you actually repeat the success of the previous season? So I thought that was really nicely done, and it was funny, and it was really wholesome to watch, and we cannot wait for season 3. We are almost done in the sense that there's only one episode left of the season 5 of Hacks. Some episodes in the middle of the season were kind of boring, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought they had this episode where they took a detour from the main beat of the story where Deborah and her daughter, it was all about them joining the Amazing Race for some reason, instead of like because JD, her daughter, always dreamt of going on the Amazing Race, and so they did this episode all about the Amazing Race, which was funny for the first 10 minutes, and then it was like, okay, I don't want to watch an episode of fake the Amazing Race.
Yeah.
So there were a couple of episodes in between the season that I thought you can live without them, but the episode 9 that aired last week, and episode 10 is going to be the series finale next week, or this week, depending on when you're listening. I think the penultimate episode was really good, with a big twist toward the end. That as we were watching, Sylvia guessed the twist because it was kind of phoned in the last couple of minutes.
Yeah.
But it was a big twist nonetheless. And so obviously the entire season they've been working up to Deborah finally doing this big stand-up performance at Madison Square Garden in New York, and so it kind of leads all up to that. But there's a twist, and we found the whole episode really, really, really enjoyable, and the kind of hacks that we loved. And something that absolutely did not disappoint any episode, like they landed every single episode in this series, has been Your Friends and Neighbors. My God, that TV show is, I think we were discussing with Silvia, I think it's the best TV show that we're watching at the moment.
Oh, wow.
Like every single episode, they leave you wanting more. And I don't know, maybe it's the fact that we love John Hamm, or the fact that the cast has been really nicely improved, and all the characters, they're showing more sides of each character. The character Sam, played by Olivia Munn, I think they gave her some really nice depth in this season. I think Barney, the business associate of Coop, they also give him more sides to the story. His wife being pregnant now, but it was an unexpected pregnancy, and so he needs to make money, but he's making money in illegitimate ways.
Right.
So I think, and obviously there's this new entry of this guy Owen Ash that is sort of blackmailing Coop, but he's also a bit of a criminal himself. They have done an excellent job of mixing and matching what made the first season kind of dark comedy. I mean, this guy, a disgraced hedge fund manager who now breaks into people's houses to steal valuable objects from
Yeah.
them, but while also expanding that. They're keeping that element of Coop just breaking into people's houses, but they're also adding this new drama with his ex-wife, who entered menopause and is now having these issues with accepting menopause, but also struggling to accept that she doesn't have a good relationship with her daughter anymore. And obviously the entire backdrop of Owen Ash, this rich millionaire who just swoops into town, becomes friends with everybody, catches Coop breaking into his house, starts blackmailing him, and it kind of goes downhill from there. I think they're gonna end this season with a big cliffhanger for season 3, but we'll see. But we are really enjoying Your Friends and Neighbors. I think it's some of the best work that they have done on Apple TV Plus.
Yeah, that's great to hear.
Is it still called Apple TV Plus or not?
No, it's just called Apple TV now.
Apple TV.
but hey, that's fine. You don't have to follow the style guide. That's great to hear, because that's a show that I actually should start watching. I have not watched it, and I think I'd enjoy it. Jennifer and I actually tried 2 or 3 shows. Well, we tried 2 together over the weekend that we abandoned immediately, and then there was a third that she started and immediately abandoned. So we're definitely in need of some new TV. Spoiler, one of the ones that we did not like was the new Jack Ryan series on Amazon Prime. It's really bad. None of them have been great. This one's just like, well, don't watch it. So that's it for today's episode of MacStories Unwind. I'll have an Unwind Deal in the show notes, so check for that. And in the meantime, you can find me and Federico at MacStories.net, and we're on social media where Federico is at Viticci. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees, JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.